What if you woke up tomorrow and money was just not a problem? Not because you won the lottery, not because you got a raise, not because you paid off every debt, but because you built something, a system so quiet, so automatic, that money simply stopped demanding your attention. No more Sunday night dread checking your balance. No more mental math at the grocery store. No more can I afford this playing on loop in your head. Here is the thing almost nobody tells you. That state is not a reward for getting rich. It is a design choice, and you can make it right now. Welcome to Wired to Broke. Today we are going to talk about something that sounds like a fantasy, but is actually an engineering problem. And engineering problems have solutions. Let me start with a study that changed the way researchers think about poverty, stress, and decision-making. In 2013, a team of economists and psychologists led by Senthil Mullainathan at Harvard conducted a series of experiments that produced one of the most uncomfortable findings in modern behavioral science. They found that financial stress, the chronic low-grade worry about not having enough, reduces a person's effective cognitive capacity by the equivalent of 13 IQ points. 13 points. That is the same cognitive impairment produced by missing a full night of sleep. It is more than the effect of chronic alcoholism. It is a significant, measurable reduction in your ability to think, plan, and make decisions. And it happens not because you are weak or undisciplined. It happens because your brain has a limited amount of mental bandwidth available at any given moment. And financial anxiety consumes it, quietly, constantly, in the background, whether you are aware of it or not. Think of it like RAM in a computer. Your brain has processing capacity. Financial worry is a program running in the background. It consumes memory you cannot see, slowing down everything else you are trying to do. You are not thinking poorly because you are bad with money. You are thinking poorly because the worry about money is using up the processing power you need to think well about anything, including money. Mullainathan and his colleague Eldar Shafir wrote about this in a book called Scarcity, and their central finding was this. Scarcity, whether of time, money, or attention, does not just make life harder. It changes the way the mind works. It creates what they called cognitive taxes, invisible costs that drain mental resources from everything that is not the immediate scarcity. You are not just poor in money, you are poor in bandwidth. This brings us to what Mullainathan called the tunneling effect, and it is the most important thing in this entire video. When your brain detects scarcity, when there is not enough money, not enough time, not enough of something critical, it does something very specific. It narrows your focus. It pulls your attention toward the immediate problem with extraordinary intensity. Everything else disappears from view. This is actually useful in a true emergency. If a car is about to hit you, you do not want to be thinking about your retirement account. Tunnel vision saves your life. But financial scarcity is not a single emergency. It is a chronic condition, and chronic tunnel vision means your brain is locked in emergency mode for weeks, months, sometimes years. Inside the tunnel, you can only see what is right in front of you. The bill that is due Friday. The overdraft that happened Monday, the expense that came out of nowhere. What you cannot see, what the tunnel makes invisible, is the long game, the compound interest, the career opportunity, the investment that will matter in 10 years. The cruelest part of the tunneling effect is that it makes the condition self-reinforcing. Financial stress reduces cognitive bandwidth. Reduced cognitive bandwidth produces worse financial decisions. Worse financial decisions create more financial stress, and the loop closes. This is not a character flaw. It is a cognitive trap, a structural one, and understanding it changes everything about how you approach the problem. Because if the problem is bandwidth, then the solution is not try harder. The solution is to reduce the cognitive load that money places on your mind. Not someday when you are wealthy enough, right now. And that is where most financial advice fails completely. It tells you to budget more carefully, to track every dollar, to think about money more. But if financial stress already costs you 13 IQ points, Asking you to think harder about money is like asking someone to sprint after cutting their legs. The prescription makes the disease worse. So let us talk about what actually works. And to do that, let me introduce what I call the Bezos problem. Jeff Bezos does not think about paying his electricity bill. He does not check whether his car insurance renewed. He does not wonder if he can afford dinner. He does not do mental math at checkout. Now you might say, of course he does not. He has hundreds of billions of dollars. The problem is irrelevant to him, and that is exactly the mistake most people make, assuming that financial peace of mind is something you earn by accumulating enough. Here is the truth. There are people earning $45,000 a year who have also stopped thinking about money day to day, not because they are wealthy, because they built systems. And there are people earning $250,000 a year who think about money obsessively, checking balances, worrying about spending, running calculations in their head at dinner. Not because they are poor, because they have no systems. The difference between financial anxiety and financial peace is not your income level. It is whether you have offloaded money decisions from your conscious mind onto a structure that handles them automatically. Bezos does not think about paying his electricity bill because some system handles it without him. You can have that same freedom on any income that covers your basic needs. It is not about how much you earn. It is about how much mental energy your financial life demands from you every day. And that is an engineering problem, which means it has an engineering solution. Let me give you 5 of them. System number 1. Automate every payment that can be automated. The average person makes somewhere between 30 and 50 financial micro-decisions every month. Should I pay the phone bill now or wait? Did the rent go through? Did I pay the insurance? Is the subscription still running? Each of those micro-decisions is small, but together they add up to a continuous low-level drain on your cognitive bandwidth. Like dozens of tiny programs running in the background, none of them obviously using resources, all of them collectively slowing you down. Automating payments does not just save time, it removes decisions, and every removed decision is bandwidth returned to you for something that actually matters. Set up autopay on every fixed bill, rent, utilities, phone, insurance, subscriptions, all of it. Automatic. Pay it and forget it. That is system 1. System number 2. Automate saving and investing before you see the money. Willpower is finite. Every month that your paycheck arrives in full and you decide how much to save, you are depending on willpower, a resource that is already depleted by everything else you are managing. The system that actually works is the one that removes the decision entirely. Before your paycheck reaches your checking account, a portion of it goes directly to savings or investments. You never see it. You never decide. You never need willpower. This is called paying yourself first. But the reason it works has nothing to do with discipline. It works because it turns saving from a conscious decision you have to make every month into an automatic outcome that happens without you. You cannot spend money you never received, and you cannot feel the absence of money that was never part of your spending calculation. The system protects you from yourself and frees you from the monthly negotiation between your present self and your future self. System number 3. The 1 number. Most people who try to track their finances end up managing dozens of categories: food, transport, clothing, entertainment, utilities. This is exhausting, and it is also unnecessary. The 1 number system works like this. You calculate your fixed expenses and automated savings up front. Everything that goes out automatically every month without a decision. You subtract that from your income. What remains is your 1 number. That is the only figure you manage. That is your spending money. You do not have to track categories. You do not have to log receipts. You do not have to calculate whether this restaurant is in your food budget. You check 1 number. If it is above 0, you are fine. That is it. The 1 number system does not require perfect discipline. It requires 1 subtraction. and it reduces the cognitive load of daily financial management to a single data point, which your brain can hold without activating the stress response. System number 4, the 2-hour annual money review. Here is a question. How often do you think about your finances in a given month? For most people, the honest answer is constantly. A background hum of calculations, worries, and what-ifs. What if you replaced that constant hum with a single annual event? 2 hours once a year. You review your net worth. You adjust your automated savings rate. You look at your investment accounts. You make any necessary changes. Then you close the laptop. For the other 363 days, the systems run themselves. You do not check your investments every week, because checking your investments every week is not management, it is anxiety. Research consistently shows that investors who check their portfolios most frequently make the worst decisions. They sell during drops. They buy at peaks. They react to noise instead of signal. The best financial decision you can make is often to look less often. The 2-hour annual review is not laziness. It is discipline applied in the right direction. System number 5, the good enough investment strategy. There is an entire industry built on convincing you that investing is complicated, that you need experts, active management, constant analysis, and sophisticated strategies to grow your money. That industry profits when you are confused, when you are uncertain, when you keep returning to seek more guidance. Your anxiety is their revenue model. The research tells a different story. Over any 30-year period, a simple low-cost index fund, one that tracks the entire market passively, has outperformed the vast majority of actively managed funds, including those run by professionals. You do not need the best strategy. You need a good enough strategy applied consistently. Pick a low-cost index fund. Set up automatic monthly contributions. Do not touch it. That is the strategy. It requires approximately 15 minutes to set up and approximately 0 minutes to manage. Once the system is running, the decision is made. The complexity is gone, and your brain is free. Now, here is something counterintuitive that most people discover only after they build these systems. The instinct is to think that paying less attention to your money means caring less about it. That monitoring less is irresponsibility. That if you are not watching constantly, something will go wrong. But constant monitoring is not the same as control. In fact, constant monitoring of your finances is often what causes the impulsive decisions, the panic sell, the emotional purchase, the reactive choice made in a moment of stress. The smoke detector analogy is useful here. A working smoke detector is always on. But you do not hear it unless there is smoke. You do not walk around your house every hour checking whether the detector is still functioning. You trust the system. Financial systems work the same way. They are always running. They only demand your attention when something actually goes wrong. For the other 364 days, they protect you in silence. That is not detachment from your finances. That is trust, earned by building something worth trusting. So let me answer the question I started with. What if you never had to think about money again? Here is what that actually means. Not that money stops mattering. Not that you become careless or blind. But that money stops running in the background of your mind every hour of every day, consuming the bandwidth you need to think clearly, create freely, and live fully. The real question is not whether you can build these systems. You can. Starting today. The real question is, what will you do with all that mental space when money is no longer filling it? Because here is what nobody talks about. When financial anxiety leaves your mind, something else moves in. Clarity, creativity, the ability to think long-term again, to notice opportunities instead of just threats, to make decisions from a place of calm instead of a place of scarcity. The 13 IQ points you get back are not just a nice idea. They are real cognitive capacity, returned to you, available for everything that actually matters in your life. You built this channel around one simple belief. The way most people think about money is making them worse off, not better. Not because they are lazy or careless, but because nobody ever showed them a different model. A model where the goal is not to monitor more, stress more, discipline more. The goal is to build a system so solid, so automatic, that money quietly takes care of itself while you get on with your life. That is what financial freedom actually means, not a number in an account, a feeling in your mind, the absence of the noise. So here is your homework. This week, pick one system from this video and set it up. Just one. Auto-pay one bill you have been paying manually. Move $10 to automated savings before your next paycheck. Write down your one number. Just one system. One decision that removes 100 future decisions. Because that is how it starts. Not with a windfall, not with a breakthrough income year, with one small, quiet automation that gives your brain back a little space, and once you feel that space, you will never want to give it up. Subscribe to Wired to Broke. See you in the next one.